I'm here. Alright. Poonam is here. Good morning.
Okay, no bakwas now.
Okay. Done.
Be very, very mindful about your words because we
Okay.
are live
Hello,
on
Vanya.
YouTube. Be very, very mindful about your words. You can see 15, we already have 15.
Yes.
Yep.
Guys, if we are muting you, the reason is only to maintain the audio thing in this session, so don't mind it.
Okay.
I can see Ayush here. Great, great. Good morning, Ayush. On behalf of entire Flutter Ahmedabad team.
Good morning.
Are we all set, guys? Or should we wait for a couple of minutes more? Okay, if you have anything, you can just ping on in the chat box. We might be muting rest all people except the speaker and few organizers if they have something to speak up. So if you have anything to let us know, you can just ping in the chat box. We are with 19 now. We'll wait for 5 more minutes and then we'll quickly start it. Ayush, are you all set? Okay, I better ask Ayush this in chat box. Okay, a quick recap who all are we have now. We have Ankit. Hi Ankit. Can you quickly introduce yourself? What you have been doing past in tech so far? Your contribution in GitHub or other repository that can help us to know what you are doing and what things we can learn from you. Since we are just setting this up, you can unmute yourself. You don't want to speak? Okay, you are a React Native developer. You can unmute yourself, Ankit. That's fine if you want. Okay, we have positive vibe joined. Thank you, positive vibes. Sorry, but not too much noise. Okay, okay. We have Atul. He's working with Java. We have Ayush that we will be hearing him for next 1 hour. So no introduction. We will be introducing him. We have Bharat and a part of organizing team of Flutter Ahmedabad. We have Bhavik. We have Dharmik Raval. We have Divyanshu Bhargava. We have Jay. We have the other person, Kunal Suthar, Kunal Chauhan. We have Lakshman. We have Monik Inderjeet Singh. We have positive vibes too. We have Ravi. Jay is an Android developer. We have Gaurav Chauhan joined recently. We have Ria. Ria is a jam. Hopefully, we'll have a talk from Ria very soon. Hopefully, we are really looking forward to have Ria as a speaker in Flutter Ahmedabad, one of the event at least. Okay, we have Rohit, we have Sunny, another organizer. We have Satish, we have Utkarsh. We are with 24 people now. We have Yash. Lakshman is also a Flutter developer. Lakshman, I hope you will have a good time now. Okay, okay, all set. We have Shubham joined recently. Good morning, Shubham. Should I play some guitar to give you guys good morning, or are you guys all set? I think we're all good to go now. Just waiting for a thumbs up from Ayush that okay, I'm good enough to be a speaker now, and you guys are good enough to present me, so that we can quickly hit this up. We have Lakshman from Indonesia, and it's 12:35 p.m. over there. Okay, Lakshman, thank you for joining us. We are with 26 now. Okay, great. Great. So, very good morning and happy Sunday to all of you. I hope you guys are staying home and safe and healthy. You guys are able to arrange your groceries and everything. And today's talk. So, can you unmute yours? Can you mute yourself, guys? Rest people other than me. And I might ask Ayush to unmute himself for a while, and then it would be all him. Because I can see some unnecessary noise here. Great. Okay. I can see people have muted. Rest all. Great. Wonderful. So, on behalf of Flutter Ahmedabad community, I welcome you all to this today's talk about making your first contribution to the Flutter framework. You guys, I believe you guys have been, guys have got chance to go through the details and description. If you have not, I'll just quickly read it out for you. Busting the myths surrounding open source contribution and making your first contribution to the Flutter framework, a short introduction. Everyone loves to use open source software, tools, and libraries. It has made our lives as developers, as users, extremely easy. Open source projects like Linux and countless distribution, Git and Android OS, React, Flutter, Xamarin, Angular, and a million others have made a huge impact shaping to software industry. Have you considered giving back to the open source community? This Sunday Aayush, who is an active contributor to many projects as well as in Flutter, will tell us about his journey and how everyone can help maintain their favorite open source project or can contribute to the Flutter or any open source platform. This event will be hosted online as you guys are in now. Link to join the meetup is updated soon. That is updated already. Okay, so a quick introduction about Ayush is this champ is genius. This is definitely I can say because he's just finally a student of computer science, I believe IT in Parul, Baroda. He's a co-founder and co-organizer of Flutter Vadodara, the official Flutter community of Vadodara, again, just like Flutter Ahmedabad. But I believe this man is doing amazing over there. He is also co-founder and co-organizer of Flutter Bootcamp Vadodara. He has done massive contribution in open source projects, including Velocity X and Flutter SDK. He has presented and shared a lot of knowledge through Flutter Bootcamp, ended with Hackathon, I guess, which was a 4 weeks program, I guess. And last time he was here for one of the talk. I'm forgetting the title of that, but that was again Flutter Ahmedabad, not a Flutter Ahmedabad dedicated talk, but it was something again supported by Google GDG Ahmedabad, and he talked about Riva. I'm forgetting. Sunny, correct me. The yeah, animation by Rive. Yes, yes, and that was super fun, guys. That was super fun. Great. So, Ayush, are you all set to present your stuff? Would you like to give a mic check or other thing? Anything else? Or if I'm missing anything to introduce yourself, you can just pitch it on. That's fine. Ayush, are we good to hand over it to you? Seems yes. Sounds yes. Okay, Ayush is not audible. Ayush, can you check your mic? Yes, the Indian Jugaad unmute mute can work. So we have Flutter to welcome you all. अगर आयुष ने और टाइम लिया ना तो मैं गिटार बजा दूंगी. Good morning, guys. The people who are recently joining us. Very good morning. Ayush, we are all waiting for you. If you need some more time, then let us know because I can do some interesting stuff then. Ayush, you need to check your mic, I believe. We have a good number today. Ayush is not audible. Ayush, you need to great, wonderful. Can you guys see Ayush? Hi,
Hi,
Ayush.
I'm
Good
audible
morning from
now?
us, from all of us. Yes, you are. I
Okay.
just only think for you. Yes. Are you all set?
Yeah, I'm all set.
कितनी मेहनत कर रहा है ये बच्चा इसके पीछे देखो बस कितनी मेहनत कर रहा है ये. Okay, so a quick handover to Ayush now. He would be talking about contribution in Flutter and open source, how we can be a part of it and how can contribute it, how can we contribute it, and how can we help other people who are newbies in this field probably. And this would be extremely helpful because I know that. So now he's presenting and hand over to you, Ayush. There we go. Thank you so much, guys. I
Yeah,
hope you will
thank
have
you
a
so
good time.
much for having me today. So, like, our short introduction, but you already know, I'm a co-founder for Vadodara. I'm also a TH lead and Mozillian. Yeah, if you want to join Mozilla community, you can contact me. So, we also do some stuff related to privacy and all. If you want to know about how we preserve privacy and all that stuff, you can contact us. Things I usually work on mobile development using Flutter and Android. Sometimes Android, not all the time, but most of the time I'm using Flutter only. I'm also a blockchain developer on Ethereum. So if you have any doubts regarding Ethereum or smart contracts, you can contact me. So before we start contributing to like how we can contribute to Flutter, we should understand what is open source is actually. Like what do you mean by open source? So like when we are in the school, we are always taught that open source means free stuff, and if it is not open source, it is a paid stuff, right? Like if you are going to school and if you are coming across the Linux OS, and then they will say it is an open source, it is free of cost, you can use for free, and which is partially correct, but not the everything. So like we won't make it like a one way session. I would like you would also interact with me to have some engagement and see what are your views about the open source. So yeah, if you know what open source means to you, like I don't want a definition, but what open source really means to you, I would like to know about that. So yeah, you can unmute yourself or you can just talk about it. If anyone wants to share their views about open source. Anyone?
Hi, Atul here.
Hi.
Just
So I have been working majorly on Java-related technologies, which are mostly open source. So as far as my understanding goes, normally industries who are capable of procuring technologies which are not open source, still they go for it because of the major reason being that there is a big there are a big number of people who are part of the community who actively keep on contributing to the ecosystem of open source, which keeps it more transparent, and the kind of support that you might require in troubleshooting and all, that is relatively higher. That is why they
Yes,
majorly go for open source technologies.
yes,
This is my
exactly.
understanding. Again, I might be wrong in that.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know, because for me, open source is always about the community. Like in a community, how you discuss your issues. Like if you know, like in the on the GitHub, you can raise an issue. You can talk about issues, how you can solve them. You can work with the, like we can say, the maintainers of the organization. You can help them solve the problems. You can collaborate with them, understand how the framework is working. So if you see, open source is also like a community where you are not physically talking to each other, but somehow you are connecting with them. You are helping them to achieve their goals and also your goals by contributing to it. So yeah, apart from that, if you see, what we can say about open source is, like whenever an organization is doing some open source projects, it also shows some values and the culture they are presenting. Just take an example, we have Stack Overflow community, and for me, Stack Overflow community was very rude when I started using Stack Overflow. I remember in the 2016, I started doing Stack Overflow thing, and I had some doubts regarding the C, how we can like synchronize two files, read and write, normal problem. So I asked the question on the Stack Overflow, and at the instance I got 3 downloads, and it demotivated me very much, because I didn't know programming and I wanted some help from the community, but it didn't help me, right? Whenever you're asking question on the Stack Overflow, whether it may be wrong or right, you get some feedback which are not usually you should get, and that is not thing with the open source. Now if you see, if you are creating a duplicate issue also, someone will not come and say, okay, this issue is already exists, you should not do this, you should be careful next time. They will say like, thank you for your contribution, but this issue is already been mentioned, so you may close this. Or if you are even submitting a pull request, and if the pull request is not appropriate the solution they won't say like, close this pull request, we're not looking for this pull request. They will say, okay, this is your pull request, but we might need this kind of solution, so will you be able to change this solution or not, let me know. And they are also helpful. So yeah, it also shows the culture they want to bring in. And if you go to the contributing.md in the GitHub of the Flutter, they are also in what values they are showcasing to the people. So I think it's all about the community you have. If we don't have a community around the Flutter wouldn't have been that popular, right? So yeah, it always about a community. And I've read this quote in some kind of podcast I've heard, where it says like, fostering the community is more difficult than managing the code. This is so true. Like take an example, managing code is so easy. Like suppose like I guess Divyanshu had have a Dartpad samples example, where you can just submit your Dartpad gist and showcase your stuff. And also Bhavik has some kind of repo where they are showing playground around the data. So just think of like this: if they have mentioned some issue as an easy fix, it does not mean that they don't know how to solve that issue. It does not mean that they do not how to solve the issue. They are labeling it as an easy fix because they want someone from the community to come and solve that issue for them. So yeah, it's really important how to foster the community. Like they know how to manage the code, but they want someone from the community should come up and take the opportunity. So yeah, just think of a scenario. We use open source every day. Like you are using Flutter, you are using React Native from the Facebook. You are using in Android also. You are using some libraries to have some UI, easy UI for you yourself. So what if open source did not exist? Like think of a scenario like open source will not exist. How would it be? I cannot imagine my life without open source. Like because Flutter wouldn't exist if it was not open source. So it would be like, yeah, I would be crying all day, because open source has helped me to learn something in a great they are fixing some issues, and it really helps you. So I would like to say, does anyone know the story about how Flutter came to existence? Does anyone know how Flutter came into existence? If they want to share. we are all using Flutter, but what was the story behind Flutter? Anyone knows? They can unmute themselves. You can also add in the chat. Okay, so one day the Google Chrome team decided like, what if we take all the components from the web? Now web has some components like DOM and everything. What if they take all the components and see what are the benchmark of the rendering on the Chrome engine? And the results they got were 20 times faster. Now, since they have removed all the web components they cannot use for the web development, obviously, so they decided to make a mobile UI framework for that. And then they came across like they tried many languages of the mobile framework like Java, Swift, JS, and out of the blocks came the Dart language. But think of a scenario if that group in the Google would have leave the Google and said, okay, we will make an SDK and we will do like this. You have this amount of free widgets, and if you want to use other widgets, you have to pay this amount of money. Like we have all come across in our developer life, there are paid SDKs. You have some amount of free features in that SDK, but if you want to use those like beautiful other features which are really useful for you, you can pay. You have to pay for them. Like how sad is that, right? That is not something you really want. And also think about like Facebook. Like Facebook have never open sourced their React Native, and how I just can't imagine like such kind of scenarios, right? So it is really important that we should foster the community of open source. So that's why we should contribute. But why you should care about open source contribution? What does it brings to you? Like it's right that you should foster the community, but how does it help me? Is really a question, because you won't do something which is not helping you, right? Like I won't just go in the contribution and say, okay, this is not helping you or anything. Now, the first thing which is you get mentoring. You get mentoring by the best folks, by the best developers. Like think of a scenario, if you are submitting a pull request, you are getting some reviews. Now those reviews will help you to understand how the framework is working, what mistakes you are doing, how can you improve your coding skills, and what are the things that you should consider when you are submitting a pull request, like that. So yeah, I did a pull request about the writing test case for the samples app in the samples repo of the Flutter. So yeah, if you can see over here, this is what review I'm getting, which will help me to understand how should I write better widget test, and what should I care about, right, and how should I write a widget test. So yeah, you get the best mentoring. Like I have got such long reviews for like 3 to 4 long reviews, which has really helped me to understand how you should contribute to the framework, how the framework is really working, which are the points that you should consider when you are writing a test case. The second thing is you are learning something new every day. Each time you contribute to something, you are learning something new. Even if you are doing documentation contribution, you are learning something new, because technical writing is also a skill. Believe me, if people are getting paid $300 for writing a technical blog, so technical writing is also a skill. If you are doing some documentation contribution, it is a valid contribution and you should do it, and you will learn something new each and every time. Because if you want to write, if you want to document some feature, that means that you should know how the feature is working. Then only you can document that feature, right? So it will help to learn something new. Like in the previous image you saw, like how should I write the test. So I learned something new from that. Each time I'm standing up here, I'm learning something new. Each review is helping me to learning something new. And as a developer, you should not stop yourself by learning something new, because the world is like is going faster, and learning something new is really important. The third is it gives you motivation. And here is an image which says what goes around comes around. What I mean by this is, just take an example, you are submitting a pull request to Flutter and you have added some kind of properties to a particular widget. Now that widget is used by millions across the world, and that property is used by some thousands of people. How cool is that you have added that property and that is used by, you will have to work at some point, you will have to work on the older projects or on the older code base. Now it is really a skill, because changing one file from the 1,000 files and does not affect the other features of the application is really a skill, and that's what people are looking also for. So it can also be a good thing in your resume and your CV if you're contributing to open source. That is not the thing you should focus on, but it also comes around, right? If you are saying in your resume that you are contributing to XYZ your XYZ like repo, and you have helped people around that, so it's a good thing. But you might be thinking, that's great, I want to contribute to open source, but I cannot contribute, I can't. How many of you feel like this? Just say in the comment section, how many of you feel like this? So I would like to know, why do you feel like this? What are the reasons which are stopping you? If you can unmute yourself or say in the chat. Because I also want to relate, because what you are thinking is what I am thinking or not. Not enough knowledge.
Hello.
Another one. Yeah.
I want to contribute but don't know from where to start, or how should I contribute to such a great library like Flutter, where I am still starting, like to having 2 to 3 months of experience.
Yeah. So this is called imposter syndrome. So everyone around us has faced this syndrome. Believe it or not, we all face it every day. So if you consider, whenever you are going through imposter syndrome, you might be thinking you will have an inner voice in your mind which will say, I'm not capable enough. I should know this thing to send a PR. Other people who are sending a PR are smarter than me. If I will ask some question to the maintainers how to solve this, I will look dumb. If I suppose take an example, there are some great Flutter developers over here. Dhumil Bhai is there, Bhai is there, Divanshu is there. And if I will ask some question like how should I solve this issue, it will look like I don't know anything and I will look dumb. These are the things we always come across. You will have the self-doubt, and my most favorite is the time traveling. You will do time travel because you will think, you will consider like you will just start imagining like, okay, if I will send this PR, I will do this change, then my PR, what if my PR will get some bad reviews? What if they are very rude and they will say this is not how you should solve? You stop there. Now this is very common thing, and it's okay to have imposter syndrome. I do have the imposter syndrome. It's not that I'm not facing it right now. Even right now, if I'm giving a talk, I'm facing it. If I have contributed to Flutter, I'm still facing imposter syndrome. But do you know 70 to 60% of people around the world face imposter syndrome, and it is said you are facing imposter syndrome when you want to achieve something greater than what you have already achieved. Just take an example, as you said, like you are doing Flutter from 2 to 3 months, and you have achieved your one step in your goal. Now, if you want to achieve your higher goal, like contributing to Flutter repo or any repo, so that is the next step in your achievement. That means you're doing something good. So if you are having imposter syndrome, it means you are going in the right direction. You just need to fight back to it. Now, if I will tell my story how I started contributing to Flutter repo, it was like this year. If I hope everyone knows of the GSOC. So this year Dart also took part in the GSOC, and they had 2 projects related to Flutter. One more, and the projects were related to the samples repo in the Flutter organization. So I just took around like what are the projects they have in the samples repo, how they're writing the code to understand how what are the code base that I should be familiar with, and what are the methods that I should know. So I just cloned the repo and I did something, and I found that there are some things that should be included in the samples. Like in the animation sample, the animated container was missing, the animated switcher was missing, which are really great example to have great animations. So I just sent a pull request to that, and it got merged, and it had me motivated to send some few pull requests. I will talk about that pull request later because it will say what mistakes I did. But then I remembered one day I had came through this tweet which says, after conversations that I had with people at community, Slack and meetups, I have seen that most people want to contribute to Flutter SDK, but they do not know where to start with. Flutter repository has some labels called good first contribution and easy fix. So one day after 1 week of the contribution, I went to the Flutter repo. I tried this. I searched for the easy fix label, and I got one issue which was fixing the documentation for the input decoration. Now, for my curiosity, I started looking at the source code, and the source code was so new to me that I got demotivated. Like, this is not top of my tea, and I cannot contribute to this because the input decoration has 5 to 6 conditions on which the padding was applied. Different 5 to 6 padding values are applied, and that conditions were coming across the different values. So it was difficult for me to understand what are the things in which padding are applied when. So after looking at it, I stopped looking. I said, this is not top of my tea. I will not do this, and I left it for the 1 week. Like for the 1 week, I stopped. Like, छोड़ में से नहीं होने वाला. Then again, I went for it because that's what you should do. Like, you should not stop. So after 1 week, I again went to the repo, again searched for the easy fix, and then I came across a issue which was for the raised button icon that you want to add the padding. And once I looked at the source code, it was very familiar that we always do. The Flutter source code is written in the same thing that you are doing. If you are using a custom widgets, they have also made a custom widgets which are accessible for you. Like, if you want to refactor your code, what you make some custom widgets and use that widget again and again. The Flutter framework is the same thing that you are using. It is some custom widgets made by them which you can use again and again, which has some properties. So I went to the source code and I searched for the padding block. How can I add the padding? So yeah, I tried by adding the padding and see if it works or not. And fortunately, it worked for me. And then I went to the contributing.md guideline and I read that you need to write some test case for that. Now, after I wrote the test case, I submitted a PR, and my PR got merged to the Flutter repo. But did it stop me from that? No. I again went to that input decoration issue, and I tried to understand how it is working, because it's a great thing, because once you know how the framework is working, you can do many things. If you are stuck in somewhere and if you know how the framework is working, you can make some changes and make it work for you. So I did the same thing. I took a pen and paper. I wrote it down in my notebook, like what are the conditions and on which conditions the padding is been applied, and that's how I wrote a documentation about it, like the different kind of paddings that are applied on the input decoration. If you are using input decoration.outline, input decoration.underline, then you have different kind of paddings which were applied. So yeah, that's how I started contribution, and you should do. Now you might be thinking, do I have the imposter syndrome right now after contribution? Yes, imposter syndrome is never going to leave me. I just have to fight it. The imposter syndrome which I had 2 months back before contributing was different than one which I have right now. The imposter syndrome 2 months before was, I don't know how to contribute to Flutter, I don't know anything. But if you consider what is my imposter syndrome right now, it is like adding some properties to some widgets is cool. Anyone can do this. Anyone who has done Flutter can know how to add some properties, how to make it work, how to add a test case. That's what I'm feeling right now after having 5 to 6 PMs. Now, should I stop contributing to Flutter? I guess no. So last week I decided that I will go for the Flutter engine right now. Like, if you know the layers of the Flutter, you have Flutter framework layer, and then you have the engine layer, which is written in C++ and C, and some Dart and Java. So yeah, I decided that it should not stop me, but you should always take it in a positive way. You should think positive of your negative thoughts. Like, if you think that other people are smarter, then it should not demotivate you. It should motivate you to learn something new. Like, yeah, that's kind of thing. So guys, it didn't stop me. My current imposter syndrome didn't stop me from contributing to Flutter. But I started looking for something new that I can contribute and somewhat like important. So yeah, how many people you have faced this issue of imposter syndrome? Like, I guess, like, you must have faced this issue, right?
You are on mute, Ayush. You are on mute.
Okay, so where did I? What was my the last voice that was audible? What was the last thing which was audible? Okay. So yeah, you might have come across some people who will say you should not do this. You don't know how to do this, and yeah, it is very common. You even if your classmates, you have classmates which are smarter than you, they will say like, yeah, मैंने यहाँ पे contribute किया, and that is very difficult thing to contribute. You know how difficult it is to contribute to some framework or something. You know how difficult that animation is to do. You should not do this, and you should not listen to them. Now it's a myth buster time because you must have heard many myths about that. One is open source contribution is hard. Now open source contribution is not hard and not that very easy. Open source contribution is not hard because nothing is impossible in this world unless and until you are dedicated to that. And I would not say it is not very easy because you need to take the first leap of faith. If you are not taking that first leap of faith, it won't come to you. Like Flutter Framework won't come to you one day in your mind and say, look, this is the source code, this is how the framework is working. You need to look, you need to do the control B and understand how the framework is working, how the widgets are written, how the rendering is working, how the painting layer is working. So yeah, you should always take the first leap of faith and should not listen to them. It is very achievable goal if you are dedicated to it. And like if you give some time, believe me, if you even give the 3 to 4 days to the Flutter framework, you will understand how the basic widgets are working, like how container is built, how a race button is built, how buttons are built, because they have already some extra class which they are using every time. Like there are many buttons, right? Flag button, race button. They are already using some extra classes like material button. So yeah, there is not much you can like. There is not much source code that you have to go through, and it is very easy for you to contribute unless and until you are giving it time. The second myth that comes is only good developers can contribute to open source. Now this is a very bad thing. Like I would say I'm not a good developer and I know I contribute to open source. There is nothing the term called good developers and bad developers. There is a term called developers with experience. There is no developer with bad qualities. You just lack experience. Like you just need to give yourself some time to understand how things are working, what are the new things, and you just need to explore. So yeah, you can also contribute if you are giving some time. So don't believe that if they are saying only good developers can contribute to open source. I believe documentation is the easiest thing that you can fix because documentation also plays an important role. Now the myth number 3 is the people who do some code contribution would say generating issues and documentations are not open source contribution. Now this is a really bad thing because just think of a scenario. Flutter right now has more than 7,500 open issues. If there are not open issues, people will not come across, the team will not come across the issues they have, the bugs they have in the framework, and how will they solve it, right? They don't have unlimited amount of resources to work on Flutter framework, right? So it is really important that you as a developer who is using the framework you should generate the issue if you are coming across. In everyday life when we are trying something new, we always come to some issues. Like I remember when I was giving the talk in the MSU for Flutter, so people didn't download the IDE and we had to switch to the Dartpad. And if you use the Dartpad, even the simplest application that you can write is you can just have the material app and does not have a scaffold, and you are right and in the home you are having a text widget. Now by default what should have the default fallback theme is you should have 2 underlines and your text color should be I guess red, yeah, red or yellow, and in the Dartpad it was not showing the underlines. So see, you come across some issues and you need to inform the team, okay, I'm coming across these issues, like is this relevant? That's how they will come to know about the issue and they will try to solve it. Also people, you might be thinking yeah, documentation karna kitna easy, you just need to add some things in the issue, but you know how important documentation is. Like I can show you, just take an example of animated container. you see this documentation over here, written over here, what the functions are doing for you and everything. Just think of scenario, there is nothing written over here. What properties are doing, what methods are doing over here, what is the meaning of this, how difficult it would be for you to understand how the thing is working, right? Now just taking example of my package where I'm not done any documentation, and I know it is the worst kind of thing to do. But yeah, let's see the documentation of this, and you will say यार क्या लिखा है, मेरे को पता भी नहीं क्या करना है क्या मेरे को इसमें. You see this on-click write open size. How can someone know who has not worked on this code base that what should it do? Unless and until you don't know how the code base is working, you won't be able to figure out what this thing means, what the properties are meaning. So you see, the documentation is really helpful for people to understand how this framework is working. And believe me or not, companies hire people for documentation only. And as I said, there are repos. I guess there are blogs which pay you around $300 to $400 for a particular blog. For some, I know Hasura pays, Auth0 pays for writing just one blog. So technical documentation, technical writing is really a skill that you should have because it plays an important role. So yeah, it's also myth that documentation issues are not open source contribution. You should definitely do it because it's really helpful for the people. So you might be thinking, how can I contribute to Flutter? Now, to be honest, it is really easy. I will come across some issues, like I will say the steps what you can do, and I will also say what the things you should care about. If you are familiar with GitHub and everything, select a repo from Flutter organization that you want to contribute. Now, if I'm saying that is like Flutter has many repos. Now, if you see over here, there are many repos. There are 33 repositories in Flutter organization. Not only the Flutter framework, the plugins and the samples, but also the website engine and other IDEs. And if you are familiar with samples, you can contribute to it. You can go through the samples, and this is a great place to start contributing because it is the same applications that you develop every day, and you know how the things are working. So if you find that some addition should be done to some applications, you can really contribute to it, right? And yeah, there are open issues also if you want to contribute to it. Like there is lack of widget test in the application, so you can also write widget test if you're familiar with it. So you will also learn how to write widget test in the Flutter framework. Now, okay, once you select the repo, which repo you want to contribute, find the issues labeled as easy fix, good first contribution, enter any new contributor project, documentation and API docs. These are the issues which does not require a great understanding of how things are working underneath it, because like as I told you, it is not like that Flutter team does not know how to fix these issues. Like obviously they know how to fix the easy fix issues. Like they know how to do some widget. That is really easy for them. That's like 5 minutes task for them. Why would they go through reviewing PRs again and again and saying no, this should be like this, you should do this and do that? Because they want a culture to develop around Flutter, because they also know that unless and until there is not a community around Flutter and people are not contributing to it, it won't do that much faster. So yeah, you can just go to the Flutter repo. And you can just search for the issues, like over here, easy fix issues, and these are really easy issues which you can do. Now just take an example of this. Yeah, sure. Okay, so yeah, you can just go to the repo and search for the easy fix. Now if you are searching for the easy fix, you can see these are really some easy fix issue which you can solve, which does not even require you to understand how the framework is working right now, because you just need to add the toString method. Like what I mean by two-string method is if you just need to override the two-string method of the string class for that particular class. So if I add two-string to some widget, it will give me the constructor of that widget, and it will have the properties that are being defined by the me. So if you consider over here, I know, yeah. So two-string in the decoration image. So yeah, it's if you see, if I'm checking if my property is not nullable, I should add that property. If my property is not nullable, I should add that property. It is that easy. If the property is not non-nullable, then you should always add that. If you don't need to check. So this is that easy fix issue that people can really go and try. And yeah, you just need to write a test case about it, which is really easy. If you're facing any issues regarding test case, you can obviously ask through me by everyone. You can also ask me how to write a test case around that, and you will find many issues which are really easy to fix for you. And that's how you should start contributing, because that will come step by step. You will suddenly won't create a, like, don't think of it like you will create a new widget and add it in the Flutter. Think of it like step by step process where you understanding how the framework is working step by step, and then you can contribute to contribute more code into the code. And yeah, this issues like entering new contributor project, good first contribution, API docs are there in the Flutter repo if you want to search. And API docs, as I said, are really great issues, because we need someone who should do better documentation about things. Like if you can see over here, you just need to document editable text mainlines better. It is that easy issue. So what you can do is you can just use this property and use this class and understand how it is working and how you can improve the existing documentation. Like if there are some conditions on which it depends, like if you are doing is dense and the minimum lines are changing and maximum lines are changing, you just need to define that. You just need to give that thing. And yeah, don't worry about your wordings and everything, because they will really help you to understand what kind of verbs there should be in the documentation, and they will review it for you. And they are really friendly people. Like, to be honest, they are the best people you can contribute, because I have got a lot of mentorship from them. How should I write my technical documentation? How should I write my test case? What properties should I? How can I write better properties and without changing existing code base? Step 3 is talk to the maintainers if you're not sure how to solve the issue. Like if you want to contribute but you still don't know, like if you said like 2 months, you started only 2 months ago and you don't know how to contribute, don't worry about anything. Just go and say, hey, I want to solve this issue. Like I remember I didn't know how to solve it. I didn't know how to write a test case for the assertions made, because there are two kinds of assertion which you can have. One is the assertions in the constructor itself, and one is for the methods that the widget are using. So I was not sure how to write about the test case around the assertion. So I simply asked, I would like to open this issue. How can I write a test case to check whether the assertions are made or not? So people are really helpful. They know how to solve this issue, and they will really help you to understand. So he gave me 2 examples, where one was for the constructor and one was for the method. And they will also, like, if you can read over here, let me know if the ideas don't work. We can continue brainstorming ways to move forward. That's how helpful people are. They want that you should contribute. That's why they are there. And you should not be afraid that people will demotivate you or say, no, you should not do this, you don't know anything. Don't think about that. People are really helpful. Yeah, so that's how you should go and take some leads from them. How can you solve the issue? If you're not sure, you can just ask them. And like, yeah, if you are not sure whom to tag in the Flutter repo, I guess you can go in the wiki. Yes, okay. If you see over here who have review code, You can find these people, you can just tag them in the issue and ask them how should I solve the issue, and they will really help you to understand how they want you to solve the issue. And yeah, you can find these people. If you don't want to do this, you can just one second. Is it visible now? Okay. So, were you able to see the people who you can contact for the issues? So yeah, if you go into the tree hygiene, there are people who you can contact about a particular task. If you want to contribute to the material widget, you can contact Hans Müller. If you want to contribute to the Flutter framework, you can contact this person. If you want to contribute to the engine, you can contact this person. So they will also help you to understand how the things are working. And if you're feeling stuck, like if you don't understanding a particular thing, like there are some conditions written, and if you're not understanding why that condition is being written, you can just contact them in the issue and ask why you are doing this and what is the outcome of that, and they will really help you to understand how the framework is working. That's why they are there. So don't be afraid of asking questions that you will look down. You will surely not look down, and you will make some great contacts, to be honest. Fork the repo and clone it. Create a new branch and do the things and create a PR. Now I want to show how easy it is to contribute to Flutter, because you all are familiar how the framework is working. This is the thing which you do in every Flutter application you build. There is nothing magic science, rocket science happening over there. If you go in the Flutter repo, this is the Flutter repo. Now in the packages you can see the Flutter, and there you have a source and there you have animation. Now this folder contains all the widgets that are responsible for doing animations. The Cupertino folder contains all the widgets that are responsible for Cupertino theming. Same for the foundation, gestures, material. So if you expand, you will find all the material widgets that is there. Now if you want to see how widgets are written, have anyone used the raise button dot icon? Has anyone used? I'm not sure if it has some. So yeah, it is a button in which you have two things. First one is your icon, and in the same horizontal space you have your text. Now what is the first thing that comes to your mind to have this kind of UI? What is the first thing that comes to your mind? How can you achieve this UI? I mean, the first thing which comes to align your elements in the horizontal way is obviously use a row, right? You should use a row. That is the first thing that comes to your mind, that you should use a row. And they are doing the same thing. There is no rocket science. If you see, they are just the icon and the label. And you do this thing every day in your Flutter applications. You make your custom widgets. So these are also the custom widgets by the Flutter team. So it's not that hard. It is not rocket science. If you just need to do the Control B and see how the things are working. If you're in the Angular video, just do the Control B and see how the things are working. And it's really easy to understand how they are building the widgets, because you are doing also the same thing. So don't feel like there is rocket science happening behind that. Yeah, there might be some cases for like painting layer, like when you comes to the painting and render box. But most of the time you can contribute very easily. And to be honest, each and every easy fix issue has to deal with only one file. So you will only have to deal with one file. If I have an easy fix issue for the raise button, I will only have to fix over here, and I just need to add this property over here to make my first PR. Just think of it like I just need to take the value from the user in the padding over here and just add it and pass it over here. This was my first issue, like 2 lines of change, and you are doing your first contribution. So don't feel like you won't be able to do it because you do it every day. Send a PR, wait for the use and work on it. Now, whenever you are sending a PR, don't feel like if your PR is getting some reviews, be very open-minded. If someone is saying this should not be done like this way and that should be done like that way, don't demotivate yourself, because yeah, everyone has a particular style of coding and there are some guidance that they need to follow, because it's not like that you should follow your own code style. Everyone has a different code style and they have their particular code style guided, style guide, so you need to follow that. So don't feel bad about that, and it's okay to have some bad reviews, and you should work on that because it will help you to understand how the framework is working and you will learn something new. And I'm sure that thing will also help you to learn something new and become a better developer. So yeah, it's time for the tips from the mistakes I did. Tip 1. Don't send a PR without creating issues. This is a very important tip because I have seen people sending it and I also did the same thing. Remember I said like I did my first contribution to the samples repo and I did my second contribution. So I sent a PR without creating an issue, and later I realized that it was like this. So I sent a PR and I attached some screenshots of the emulator, and I got a review on what device emulator you are running the sample in the screenshots about. I'm not able to replicate the behavior you are seeing. Now later I realized that I was on the master branch and the samples repo only works on the on the stable branch. So yeah, so if you see, I didn't create an issue, I didn't discuss with the maintainers, and I just sent a PR, and later I came to realize, okay, I was doing some mistakes. So it is really a good thing to create an issue. If you want to contribute to samples repo, just create an issue, talk with the maintainers, do you want this or not? Because it is not something like they want everything they want, because you might want some features in the widget, but it might be case that the other people don't want, so it might not, they might not consider that adding those features into the widget. So you can make your own separate package. So it is better you create an issue, you can discuss with the maintainer, should I work on this, is it valid or not, and then just send a PR. Second, read the contributing.md or ask for the TLDR from someone who has contributed. Now reading contributing.md is really important because otherwise you will do this mistake. If I have read the contributing.md before submitting a pull request, I must have known that the samples app only work on the stable channel. They are not looking for the master channel or the dev channel. So if I have read the contributing.md, I would have understand, okay, what things I need to keep in my mind before contributing to the Flutter framework or any repo. So it is really good thing to have a contributing.md and read it and then send a PR and understand what things they are working, because they are written everything that you should take care of. Or I know like reading contributing.md is really boring stuff. I can understand that. Like, to be honest, this is very big. If you see over here, developing for Flutter, you need to go through all those things like issue hygiene, try hygiene, how you should land your first PR and everything. Like, reading this amount of stuff is really boring stuff. So yeah, you can ask for the TLDR who has already contributed. So I will share a few of the tips at the last what you should take care when you're contributing to the Flutter. First tip is don't use Dart format in the Flutter repo. Please don't. Otherwise, your additions and deletions will be, I guess, 30,000, 40,000 addition deletions. Like, I remember when I did my first pull request to the Flutter repo, I did the same mistake. I didn't read the contributing.md, and I did Ctrl-Alt-L in the file that I was working, and it applied the Dart format in that file. And later I realized there were more additions and deletions because of the reformat I did. So yeah, that is the first thing, that you should not ever apply Dart format in your Flutter repo. And this was then later in this month only, Remy said on the Twitter, like, make 5 lines fix in Flutter, run Dart.fmt, 207 line strings, insertions and deletions. You can see the lines, amount of lines, like this is like whole repo, like what are you even doing? And this is really like you should remember that Dart does not use Dart format, and you should not do this kind of mistake because yeah, it is not, they do not use, and there is an open issue why they not do not use because they think like it is not more readable, so that's why they are not using the Dart format. You can go in the thread and watch the issue. So that's the first tip. Tip for sending a PR are one PR for one issue. Even if the changes, if even if you're changing the smallest change, like if you even adding a comma or if you're even fixing a grammar mistake, there should be a separate PR for everything. If you want to add two different properties to a widget, make a different PR because it makes it easy to track for them and also to revert the changes. Suppose if you are sending a PR and then later they realize that this PR is not valid PR and this property should not be added. So if they revert, it will also revert the other property that you have already added. So for that you should always do separate PRs. Be open to changes and healthy conversations. Like you should not be afraid of getting the criticism or the feedbacks because it will help you to be a better developer. I guess I got one recently only. I would like to show it. Yeah, this one. Okay, so what I did something which I thought was the correct way to do, but later the maintenance told me like you should not do like this. This is certainly wrong and unfortunately does not have a test case. Now, sometimes you might feel like okay, you are getting demotivated, like you have done something and like they are saying no, this is totally wrong, you should not do this. But understand the thing, like you will learn something new. So yeah, you ask from them like what they need for the framework and how you should do it, and they will also give you the guidelines. Like if you see, if I think if you just multiply the scale property from the decoration image against, it should work out. So yeah, you should ask for them and don't get demotivated by that kind of feedbacks or criticism because it is really important for being a better developer and grow yourself. So yeah, don't get also demotivated if your PR gets closed. I guess it's really normal, like sometimes people send a PR before you and it is really normal. So don't get demotivated if a PR gets closed for some XYZ reason. This does not happens every time. Like if even if you're doing something wrong in your PR, they will guide you to make it right thing and they will guide you very well. So it won't happen. But if it is happening, don't get demotivated. It is okay. So yeah, other thing I would like to tell is like if you are contributing, don't be afraid to ask anything from anyone. It will not look you like you don't know stuff, but think of it, if you're in constantly getting mentoring from the people who are maintaining the source code of Flutter, how good it is for you, how good it is to get mentoring from them. Like that is really a great thing, and you should look forward to contribute to any framework. I wouldn't say like it is valid for Flutter, but it is valid to any framework or any libraries that are existing right now in the world on the GitHub. If you are from the React Native world, this tips applies for you too. There will be contributing guidelines, there will be members who will really help you, and there will be no one who will say like, yeah, this is not the Stack Overflow that you will get downwards or you will get your question will get deleted by the moderators. So don't be afraid of that. So yeah, that's the small thing. If you have any questions, if you have any doubts regarding it, if you're not sure about stuff, you can ask me. Also, like as I said, there are easy fix issues. If you want to contribute it, and if you're not sure how you can solve it, you can you can just contact me. If I know how to solve it, I will surely help you. If you want to know how to write a test case for that, I will help you. But I would suggest instead of contacting the people you know, you should contact team because first thing it is best to get the advice from them because they know how you should do it in the better way. Second thing is you will need some great connections, and connections are really important. Like you already know me, and you already know some Flutter developer like Dhumil Bhai, from Devanshu Bhai, from Bhavik Bhai, from Sunny Bhai. You already know them, but you don't know the Flutter team. So try to talk to them. Try to get mentoring from them to understand it better. So yeah, if you have any questions or doubts, you can ask me.
One is from Bhavesh, so how to write test cases or how from where he can learn test cases in Flutter.
So basic, like what I did was I read a blog on the Medium how to write a test case for the login screen, and then when I was in the internship, I started experimenting with how to write widget tests, and surely I was not doing it the right way. So yeah, you can just try to make it proper way. There are resources which are available on the YouTube. You can find the resource coder. You can, if I don't know if the Pawan Kumar channels has the widget test. If there, you can also look for that. There are few Medium articles, I guess, which is like writing a login test for the login widget test. This one is also a good one, where you will learn how to write a unit test in widget test. It is very well explained. Like yeah, you can go through it. You can watch the video and understand how the widget tests are written. And the tests which are written over there are similar to what you will write in the Flutter framework. There is no different thing than that. Any other questions?
Yeah, we were just going through the chat where people have posted their questions. There is one that I think you would be the best person to answer that since you recently started and doing really well. There were Kushal, I guess, who asked that how they can start learning Flutter really well from the scratch and with all the basic and important stuff to know about it. So can you zoom a bit more on this?
Like learning Flutter, particularly.
Yeah, how to start with that, and I think the person also wants to master that, so probably you can consider both the factors and they can pitch it on.
So I will share my journey. Like everyone has a different way of learning new technology. So what I normally do is I will just go through the basics of the technology. What are the basics that you should know? Like I started learning, I didn't go through Dart. To be honest, I didn't learn Dart first. I was very familiar with the Android and the Java ecosystem. So I just took a code lab which was Dart for the Java developers. So I did that. I understand how the class, you can make a class for the factory constructors and those things in the half an hour or 1 an hour code lab. And then I started watching few YouTube videos for understanding only the widgets, which was like what is the container, what are the widgets, stateful and stateless. And then I took a challenge, like I built a movie application. So I believe whenever you took a project and you do something, it will really help you, because if you are following some tutorials, that is good, but you won't come across issues unless and until you try something new. So for me, working on projects, on live projects really helped me. Not live projects, but yeah, like take an example of building a note, what we can say, the notes application, or building like to-do apps. So I did a movie UI application, and it really helped me to understand how the list view works, how you can have a nested list views, how you can use the stack for that, and that's time I learned. And for the mastering, I guess there is no one who can master anything.
Right.
There is always room for improvement. Like if you even, I hope you know Jet Wharton from the Android developer. Even he would say like he don't know everything. There is something you should always learn, and there is always room for improvement. Like just take an example, if you are in the Android ecosystem and there are new things coming every time, like you are getting a room update or anything. So you there is like how can you go through everything in every time? And if you really want, if you want some course or guidelines, I really feel like Resocoder and MTech are really best. If you want to do production level programming, the Resocoder I find Resocoder is really great because it takes that perspectives that you should know for doing some live projects. And for I've never took any course, so I won't be able to answer for that. But yeah, you can ask for the
Right.
chat.
Right. So even guys, the ones who had this question, the team Flutter Ahmedabad, even they are like almost all of them are good at Flutter. They are doing really well. So you can hit on more questions to them. Summarizing what Ayush said now, you need along with learning from a tutorial. I think that's what you mean, Ayush. That they need to start with taking a theme or a project on which through which they can really understand it very properly. At least one thing at a time, but they will be able to do it well, right? That's what you mean.
Yes,
Okay, great.
yes,
So
and
this, I
also
believe this answered your question. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, also I believe like I can see in that documentation helps a lot. I believe documentation is really helpful because just take an example. If you want to know how the list view really works, you will go through a 20 minutes video and in the 10 minutes you will come up with the list view works like this. But what if you go in the documentation? Because if you are reading the documentation, if you learn the art of reading documentation or reading the blogs properly, it will really help you to save you a lot of time.
Right. True. Yes. So again, summarizing entire talk by Ayush in a very few lines, if I would say, he almost touched base on all the basic aspects of how they can start contributing to open source, how they can learn it. You learn something, you reproduce an issue, then you try to get the resolution, and then you try to get reviewed it by some mentors or some people who are really good at it, and then you work on it. You look for the improvements, scope of improvement that you have, and then you work on it, and then you will be better at it. Probably one day you will be again organizing or presenting something like Ayush did now, and again you will be like shining all the way. Great, great. So I believe this was really fun stuff that Ayush took touched base so far. This would be really helpful to almost everyone who is really looking forward to contribute and to help others. People like me who are really basic at coding and all. So Ayush, the one thing for you is it necessary to know Android or Java to start with Flutter or to start working with open source?
Uh, I don't think so. There is any necessity, but like I came from the Java side, I was very familiar with the syntax. So if you don't know the OOPS concepts and everything, it might be some time you should learn the OOPS concept. But if you're familiar, you can easily learn the syntax by doing the projects at the same time. There is nothing more different because most of the modern languages like Kotlin, Swift, and Dart have something in similar, and the syntax are very similar to JavaScript and Java. And if you know the basics of hooks programming and everything, it won't be difficult for you to start anything. Like I would suggest if you want to go with the Python right now, you can really start if you know the hooks concept. There is the changes on the syntax of change which you can learn as the time progresses.
Okay, nice. So basically, you need to know what is the basic of coding, what you want to develop. You should know the algorithm, I guess, and then syntax and logic. The framing is again different for each language and technology. So they just need to know
Yeah.
what they want to make and how to get it done. And it's all about uncovering and framing it all. Okay, Sunny has shared some links with you guys on chat. You guys can go through that one. Probably that would be helpful. Some Udemy courses and other stuff. Yes. Since so, don't take it like we have been biased on Flutter. It's just that we have the speaker who is kind of pro in that and who is really excited to share his knowledge and journey with us. So that's why we would be touching more questions based on Flutter and how to proceed further with that. So, why do you think Flutter is so important? Like, why one should start learning Flutter or to choose it as a career technology? Why do you think that this can be helpful? This can they have a long way to go ahead.
So like as a student developer, learning Android was fun. I also published an application on the Play Store when I was learning Android. So one thing which I find difficult was making UIs. The UIs making was really difficult For even having a navigation drawer, I had to maintain 4 files: one XML file for the design, one XML menu file, resource files, and you need to write the code. You need to write the handle gestures. If you right now see the, just consider Flutter as a CSS framework of the like Bootstrap. Like, you know how to write CSS, but if you want to write, if you don't use about Bootstrap, you will have to write everything again and again, right? You need to go into the deep how the CSS works, and you need to handle everything. But what if you use the Bootstrap? If you are using a Bootstrap classes, it is really easy for you to make the UIs. Similar thing is with the Flutter. If the Flutter team has already made some classes, in that they have written everything, every logic that you should care about. You just need to instantiate that class and you use that widget. So that what makes me exciting about it, because I can develop UIs really fast about it. And I also don't think that you should not care about Java or iOS development, because what I think is, coming from the Java background helped me to develop plugin, because I remember when I was doing an internship in the Bangalore startup, I had an issue to how to connect the e-cost printer, like if you know the billing printer which are there are in the normal shops. So they wanted to connect that printer, and we were facing the issue like there were not plugins which were covering everything. Like one plugin had for the Bluetooth, one plugin had for the USB, but nothing was having everything in the common. And that the Bluetooth one was also in the written in the pure dark using the Bluetooth package available. So it helped me to develop plugin, and because since I knew how to write Java code, I was all helped to, like, I was able to develop that plugin and combine it. So it really helps you when you are stuck, because there won't be every use case available right now, since Flutter is growing day by day. And if you are developing something like this, you should make it open source, because it will really help other developers to go around this.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much, Ayush. Thanks for the answers, and they were quite satisfactory to the ones who had questions. I believe your questions got answered. We have somebody, a mentor.
You are on mute. Hello.
Yes. Thank you. Mhm. Mhm. Sunny, just wait for 1 second. Before we lead with questions, we have a mentor figure with us. We like Drumil can put more. I believe we can throw it open to Drumil for a while, and he can let us know more about what Ayush has touched so far in today's session. So, Drumil, over to you. Would you like to say something?
Thank you so
You
much.
are able to. Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining. Thanks for your time as well.
Yeah, actually, this is the thing. Also, I just wanted to know that how the Irish is able to do the contribution so well and so much thing. So actually, I'm also learning this thing. So thank you so much, Irish, for sharing a very detailed session. And it's not like that,
Right.
as an expert, I know each and everything. The thing is, like, I'm expert in something, but this is not my forte. That which I want to learn. So yeah, I mean, if anyone have any kind of question regarding the development in the Flutter, if you have any kind of confusion that what should I use, whether this approach is
Right.
good or not. So yeah, I'm available on the LinkedIn and Twitter to answer that. So yeah, that's it.
Yes, true, right. So yeah, this champ is genius. Like I said, he is doing awesome. Like, he's such so young, and he has done a lot of things. That like things for me, they were like, oh, Blue Moon, kya kar raha hai ye? Awesome. Thank you so much, Ayush. We are really so
So for
proud
me,
of you that you were part. Yeah, for you as well, Drumal.
yeah, sorry. So it's like Ayush, you are actually like a kind of inspiration for me also. That how actually I can just take some time out from my the work and from all these talks, and how I can actually also start contributing actively on the Flutter framework. Yeah, I have contributed not directly but indirectly, which has not been seen on the Flutter framework. But yeah, as a part of a GD, that is something which I can do. But yeah, now I need to do something like the way you are doing. So yeah, thank you so much for the inspiration.
Thank you so much for the kind words. Actually, you are my inspiration. The GDs are my
Thank you.
inspiration because, like, Bhavik was also an inspiration, like, to started learning Flutter. Like, I remember when we met for the first time in the boot camp. Like, I was like, yeah, they know so much about Flutter, and like, as being a new starter or newbie, I don't even know anything. So yeah, your blogs and everything really helped me a lot. I remember you started writing the blogs very early, and I read it. And I also came across some answers on the Stack Overflow by you on the in the Flutter. I don't remember the questions, but I also came across some answers which are really helpful for me.
Yeah, thank you.
Glad to
So,
know.
so I mean, there are some common questions which I answered, and there were like on the initial days I was writing the blog where people were facing a lot of challenges, but now I found that there are a lot of content are available, so I'm just skip that to repeating the same content. So I'm just focusing on where actually the people are facing the problem and which the small thing can help. Just like the recent article which I wrote is like how we can just show that the scroll bar. So that is very tricky. That is very small thing, but this is very tricky. So I just always focus on those things where people is like day to day life they they face such kind of challenges. So my next article is also coming there for the people who are actually calling the API and they are facing some challenges in that. So yeah, stay tuned. Thank you.
Yeah, looking forward.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Drumal. Yeah. Thank you so much, Drumal, for your time and for the suggestions. The advice were really good. Okay, so Sunny has shared, I believe you guys can see the chat, the live chat that happening. And Sunny has shared Drumal's Twitter handle with you, Ayush's Twitter handle with you.
Yeah, once.
And so through that, you will be able to go through the blogs and he has written so far. And hopefully that would satisfy, that will help you to learn better and to grow better.
Yeah,
Okay, so if you guys have any other question, yeah, go ahead.
if you want to get in touch with me, you can find me here. If you want to get in touch with me, you can find me here.
Wonderful. So you guys can catch Ayush on Twitter, you guys can catch Ayush on GitHub, you guys can catch Ayush on LinkedIn, you guys can catch Ayush anywhere in Baroda. He might be eating somewhere on street food.
After the lockdown.
Hygienic one, yeah, after the lockdown, yes. And hopefully we'll ask him to come Ahmedabad sooner to have a live session with us, and where he would be sharing more of his insights and journey with us, which would again be helpful because learning is something that is long time and constant process that we all are in. And one more thing that he shared, people who are new, who are learning and along with wishing to contribute, the community that we are in, the generation that we are in, that is the people are really helpful. People are way more positive towards if you have the right way and right approach to know whom to ask, what to ask, and when to ask. They have all the answers to your question. We just need to be on the right way, and we will get that done everything. So from learning to developing and to be a GDE like Drumal, it's just that you need to have a right way and right approach, and you are all set to fly. Right, Ayush? Do you second that?
Yes, absolutely. You should always ask the question. Should not be afraid of anything. Like you will be looked down.
Yes, yes. Because even the philosophical the statements are also like that. There is somebody in the room who is good at something that you are completely blank about, and that
Yes,
person might be knowing something that you're deep inside. You want to know that. So just
Yeah.
return your questions. Just be in the right way and right approach, and you are all set. Okay, so there was one question. I believe if not Ayush, then a Flutter Ahmedabad team or Drumil can catch this up. Is there something called like live data in Flutter? Ayush, do you know about it? Live data in Flutter?
Live data in what sense? Like calling the APIs and streams. Like for if you have the two-way, you
I'm
can
not sure. Go ahead. Bhavik can answer this. Okay, Bhavik, over to you.
Yeah. So it mostly like in Android live data is the thing, but in Flutter there are streams, stream controller you can use to update your UI. So stream is equal to a live data in Android. So what basically stream works like, so you can add some data in stream using a stream .scene.add, and whenever this the stream of the has some data or changes, it will affect your it will tell your stream controller to change particular UI, and the way this cycle goes on. So I don't much use streams, but as I'm a Mobex fan, but yeah. So if you don't want to use any third party packages, so stream controller and streams are inbuilt in the inbuilt APIs that Flutter provides. You can directly use them.
Okay. Sunny has shared the link for that as well. You guys can just scroll
Yeah.
down the chat box. A live data from Droid. Hopefully that would be the one that you're looking for. Okay. So yeah, any other tip if you have in general, Ayush, to share with the crowd that is listening you now? Because the few feedback that I can tell you now, just gathering some quick ones. You are the best. This is for you. And this session is really amazing. You have given the stuff that they were looking for since quite a few months, since they heard the term Flutter and how to contribute. So you almost touched base all these things. So team is really being thankful to you. I'm just summarizing the feedback. They are in huge number and they're very good statement. There's some nice and really pleasant word that you might wish to go through that once. Okay, so do you have any additional feedback for in general, other than only limiting to your session? Do you have any such stuff to share with them? Just unmute yourself, Ayush. You're mute. Ayush, unmute yourself.
Okay, right now I'm out of text. If you have some questions, it might come across like how it can help you. Like if you have some particular questions, you can ask. But yeah, those are the tips that you should care about while you are contributing Flutter if you're learning something new technology.
Great. Okay. Great. Again, it was an amazing session. Wonderful. So if you do not have any questions, we can quickly throw it open to any open discussion, including what Ayush shared, including what team has for you, including what you have. And before that, like I'm starting this tradition now, just saying hi and thank you to each one of you who are in the meeting now. Ankit, thank you. Atul, thank you. Ayush, thank you so much. Bharat, thank you. Bhavish, Bhavik, Bunty, thanks for your questions. I hope we answered your questions. Darshit, Dharmik, Drumil, thank you so much, Drumil, for spending and like taking out your important Sunday time, because we know how countable it is, especially for the people who have a lot of responsibilities like you. And yeah, thank you, Jai. Thank you, Khushbu. Thank you, Krunal. Thank you, Lakshmana. Thank you, Praful, all the way from Nagpur. Say hi to this champ as well. Thank you, Ria. Sunny, again, thank you. Satish, Shubham, Siddharth, and Yash. I believe this session was helpful. I believe this is what you would be taking in as a takeaway for today from today's session, and hopefully this will give you a way and channelize how you can like do more and more and better at it. Great. So we'll start the discussion from here. Thank you so much, Ayush, again. This is not just a formal statement from us. This is really what we have felt since from the day we got in touch with you to start how to project this session. From there to now, since we are ending it, this has been really helpful. Like having a young boy sharing his journey, sharing this immense amount of contribution that he has been doing, like from scratch, that how he got feedbacks, how he got better to that, how he took everything in very positive way, how he channelized himself in so well. Even just being a student, you have been doing this really well. So I believe the people who are listening to you, who are students especially, they will definitely get a very good light on how to get them like how to kickstart with their career prospects and everything. So I believe this was a really very very important session for all of us. You're still mute, Ayush.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me today. Like, I will try to write a blog around it also because it might help other people who want to start with the contributing to Flutter Framework. So, hopefully, I will complete it soon because I'm too lazy to write a blog. I procrastinate it every time. Hopefully, not this time. Let's see.
Looking forward. Looking forward.
It wasn't like that. Yes. So I hand over it to you, Sunny, now. Sunny, you can lead the discussion. You can have people to speak about it. And yeah, over to you, Sunny. Thank you, Ayush. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for your time and joining us. Thank you. Over to you, Sunny.
Now is it okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to, some tips or some suggestions before you choose any state management technique. So first, understand exactly that the state management is like you are actually, accessing a variable and mutating the value of that variable. The two simple steps. Okay. Now identify that which variable you actually, want to utilize. I mean, you want to read, and from where. If that variable is in the same file, that means it's a local variable that becomes a local state. And if your variable is like accessed by multiple widgets, which is across from all the files, that means it's become like a global state. So if you want to manage a local state, the simple set state will work. That's the simple rule. Now for the global state, now understand that the global state, which are the widgets want to actually, want to update that particular states, or who is going to edit that particular state. So that becomes the one, like an action in Redux. If you are aware about the Redux methodology, so there is someone who actually going to mutate or update the state, the one who is actually going to consume the state. Now, based on your experience, whatever the state management technique you like, for example, whether you love the streams, you can go with the blocks, or even you can go with the simple streams also. That's number one. If you are very good in terms of dependency injection, if you are from like Android background, and you know how the Dagger and the different things works, then there are like the provider, the get it. There are different libraries which help you to do the dependency injection. That means you have created one class and you just need an object, and from that object you can update the value. So at that time the provider will help. The Mobex is totally out of the box, totally different thing. I haven't explored that much, so I cannot comment on that. But based on the review and from the community people, they are using the Mobex also, and that is again a very good thing. But before you choose any of this, first understand this thing. Write down this in your paper or somewhere. Make a note that okay, which are the states that is going to be muted and or that is going to be changed, who is responsible to change it, and who is going to consume it. If you are clear with this, then you can, I guess, try with any available framework. For me, what I do, I use a mixture of all the state management techniques. So I love streams, I love provider. So I create the streams, and also using the provider, I am just using the streams. So again, it's totally up to you. Even though the Google is encouraging to use the provider, but that is just because they found that this is something very simple that anyone can use. So there is no like strict rule that you should use this. So whatever you feel that is easy for you, easy to understand, and it works for you, just simply do this. Don't go with that, okay, that hey, Drumil is using provider, I should go and use the provider. If you are very good at writing a block and managing your code, and it is working great for you, go for it for the block. So that's what I just wanted to share. I hope it will help all of you.
Yes, agreed. Yeah. So I agree on Vimal's point. Like, go for state management that works for you and that does your task really easily, or that very well, or the and state management very well. And also, one I would like to add one thing that I use inheritor visit right now. Also, I use provider too. I use Mobex too, and in one of my last project I use block too. So it's vary from project to projects again, use case to use case again. So in one of my project I had only a single screen, so I haven't used any state management, and rather I gone for only a simple set state method. Okay, So it's just completely fine to use a set state method if you are have on if you have only a one screen or a two screen. And for one package I have created in my previous company, so I have used inheritor widget to maintain some states. So you can also use a inheritor widget again if you have a lesser screen, lesser state management variables that you want to mutate. So these are the things you need to keep eye on. That as Jomil said, like you need to identify what you are going to mutate, which variables, which properties you are going to, which widgets you are going to mutate, and on that basis use the state management. And yeah, provider is good though, but I feel like mobiles is much more straightforward, easy to use. Its documentation is really good that you can go through, and it's really easy to understand. So yeah, that's it.
Hi, so Praful here. So yeah, in 2017, Google I/O they have released live data, which is a which is an architecture component, part of an architecture component libraries. So initially, what was the issue? Is we have to create separate observables for observing the data which is getting updated due to some orientation change, like when application switches from portrait to landscape and then go back from portrait landscape to portrait. So in during that orientation change, what happens is the data is not being stored in somewhere a view holder. So data is not stored in the view holder, due to which it gets reset, and again we have to refresh the UI in native Android. So what they did is they made a live data component which is life cycle aware. I think you might be aware of life cycle in Android if you are from native. But basically, what lifecycle means is it is for UI components which Android provides. So, like when activity is resumed or on start, the UI gets rebuilt, which is not happening in Flutter. So, the need of live data in Flutter is not needed as far as I know. And coming to Android side, the live data is a very useful component. Right now, we are using in our project as well. So, yes, actually, it makes your application life cycle aware. So, whatever happens, like if you change your orientation from portrait to landscape, the what live data do is it holds the data, whatever is being displayed in the UI, and then again when orientation refreshes, it automatically observes, it actually continuously observes the data, and then again replicate back into your new UI. I hope I have answered that.
Thank you, Praful. Thank you so much. That was helpful. I believe.
additive task and unit task.
Okay, no reality check, guys. We are not at all liking this lockdown, I believe. So no talks on lockdown. We are so bored of hearing it. Like the statements we are hearing every day. We are in this together. Let's quarantine and chill. Let's be more productive. Let's not be more productive. So no such talks at all. Yes,
Okay.
it is so common now. Okay, I believe we are good to wrap. Even Ayush should be rushing. He would have been, since this guy has shown a lot of work that he has been doing so far, I believe he would be again having a lot to work and he would be again having a lot to contribute more. So we wouldn't take his more time. And yeah, quick last minute to all the audience who are still inside. If you have any feedbacks for Ayush or the team, write it in the chat box. We will go through that. And yeah, by the end of the day, by end of the Sunday, we will have the Slack link for you wherein you can join us or you can have your questions asked to us. We will also try if we can catch the presentation that Ayush has presented to us today. Whatever he would be able to share it with us, we will take the inputs for you guys and we will update all these things in the meetup chat box. I think this is all so far I have for